So we are officially underway in the 2025 NBA preseason, and what I love throughout preseason, the overreactions from just a random game that we are going to see that doesn't even count. So I asked you guys on Twitter and my community tab, give me an overreaction for your favorite team for a video, and here we are. We're going to talk about all 30 teams in this video. If you agree or disagree with the comment or what I say in this video, let me know down below. If you guys do enjoy this content, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up, and let's get into it. All right, so we're going to start off with the Philadelphia 76ers. This one comes from Jennifer over on the YouTube community tab, and they mentioned that the Sixers are going to win the East by 5 games, and Embiid finishes top 3 in MVP voting again. And I'm sorry, after this comment, we maybe had to put NBA 2K down. I do not think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be anywhere close near the top of the Eastern Conference this year. I've kind of zagged actually on the Philadelphia 76ers. I do think there is a chance they're going to be playing tournament team or worse this upcoming season. I just really worry about the health of this roster. What is going to be the status of Joel Embiid and Paul George all season long? Jared McCain is already banged up. VJ Edgecombe got recently banged up as well. And I do not love the depth of this team either. I think guys like Trendon Watford and Dembona, Justin Edwards can be valuable players at times this year, but I just don't think they're going to have the consistency and continuity to finish as a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. Like I said, I cannot trust the health of Joel Embiid and Paul George throughout the year. I am high on both those guys to have somewhat of comeback seasons. It's just, are we going to get over 50 games between those two? And Embiid finishing top 3 in MVP voting again means that he finishes over 65 games played this year. I think even if he's healthy throughout the year, he's not even going to play back-to-back, so he's already going to get close with the eligibility. So I definitely disagree with these overreactions. This one comes from Avdia Lovers on Twitter, and they mentioned for the Portland Trailblazers that Denny Avdia is going to be an all-star. In just 20 minutes where he barely even tried, he put up 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. He can easily average around 20 to 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists per game this season. And if Portland makes the play-in, he's an all-star. I really enjoyed watching Portland's first preseason game the other night against the Golden State Warriors because I think we learned a lot in that game as well. Some good and some bad. I thought it was interesting that Jeremy Grant started this game over Denny Avdia when Denny was the Portland Trailblazers' best player in 2025. Jeremy Grant just kind of existing out there at times. Didn't even look like he wanted to be out there. He obviously wants to keep starting, but he's just getting paid so much money. And for what he is right now, I value some other players on the Portland Trailblazers long terms. And this person obviously thinks Denny can have a breakout season, and with Anthony Simons in Boston, Dame not coming back till next year, Scoot on the shelf to start off the year, there's a clear path for Denny Avdia to average 20 points per game. He averaged 17 last year. That can get up to 20 this year, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. I think he could definitely flirt with an all-star appearance as well. I'm really excited about Shaedon Sharpe though, because I thought he looked very impressive in that preseason game against the Warriors, against some of the Warriors starters as well, where it looks like the game is just slowing down for Shaedon Sharpe. He's healthy to start off the year. He's learning from Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, all in the mix now. And Shaedon Sharpe is still just 22 years old. So while I do think if the Portland Trailblazers had an all-star in 2026, it's probably going to be Denny. But I think Shaedon Sharpe can actually have a true breakout season in the last year of his rookie contract. Chris mentions here that, well, I already know this is true, but for my casuals, the Bucks are elite. Like, we beat the Heat and Pistons with their best player present. I assume that's just meaning that Giannis Antetokounmpo did not play in those preseason games. And this is definitely a preseason overreaction, saying that you're better than Miami and Detroit from some preseason basketball. Now, shout out to Milwaukee for going 2-0 in their first 2 games. And I did think that Milwaukee's better than Miami on paper this year. I still like Detroit more than Milwaukee going into the year. I did not enjoy watching Kyle Kuzma in those first 2 preseason games. I think this team is going to have to really try out a bunch of different rotations. I like what I've seen so far from Gary Trent, Kevin Porter. AJ Green was perfect from the field and from the free throw line against the Detroit Pistons in that preseason game. I've loved what I've seen out of Ryan Rollins as well. I just hope that Doc Rivers is willing to adjust and get creative with his rotations this year. There's a lot of depth on this Bucks team. Is it the best of depth? No, there's teams with definitely better quality of depth in the NBA, but I do think the Bucks have a lot of players that they could just throw out there in different lineup rotations, and I hope that throughout the regular season, Doc can experiment with those so they can have the best possible rotations for the playoffs. I still like Detroit more than Milwaukee, but I can get on board with Chris saying that Milwaukee is better than Miami, but those were definitely some fighting words. Guzman says that Matas Buzelis is actually going to lead the Bulls in scoring this season. Now, this is definitely an overreaction in my opinion. There's still going to be some ups and downs for Matas Buzelis in 2026. To be honest with you, in the first half of the year, I don't even think Matas Buzelis is going to be a top 2 scorer on the team, maybe not even a top 3 scorer. I think he's going to be in that 3 to 4 range with Kobe Coby White number 1, and you may not like to hear this, Bulls fans, but Nikola Vucevic number 2. We could definitely see Josh Giddey average more than Buzelis this year. We just want to see what he did in the second half of last year, summer league, and preseason carry over into year number 2, where players can have sophomore slumps, but Matas has the athleticism, the quickness, and the confidence to take strides in the 2026 season. Last year, he averaged 8.5 points throughout the whole season, but was much better after the All-Star break. In those 27 games, he averaged 13 points and 5 rebounds. And I do think playing with Josh Giddey is going to do great for Matas Buzelis' development this year. He's going to get some great looks. There's going to be some bad games. There's going to be some good games. I don't think he's going to lead the Bulls in scoring, but if he could just average an efficient 12 points this year, you 100% take that if you're a Bulls fan. Jack mentions here for the Cleveland Cavaliers that DeAndre Hunter will average 20 points per game to start off the year. Now, this can come with the reasoning that Max Strus is banged up, Darius Garland is banged up to start off the year, and there could definitely be more touches for DeAndre Hunter in 2026. Last year, he averaged 17 points on the season, but he averaged 19 with Atlanta in 37 games. In 27 games with the Cavs after the trade deadline, he averaged just 14 points. So I don't think that he's going to get to 20. I do think Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley will average more than Hunter, but I could see Hunter close to that 18, 19 points per game until Darius Garland comes back. Kenny Atkinson has been raving about DeAndre Hunter all offseason long and in their training camp at IMG Academy in Florida. So I do think Hunter, in his first full offseason with Kenny Atkinson, still getting familiar with all his new teammates, can have a really good start to the 2026 season until Darius Garland comes back. Hanky mentions here for the Boston Celtics that Jaylen Brown is going to be a top 15 player in the NBA this season. Now, you could already make an argument that Jaylen Brown is a top 15 player in the NBA, and he looked really good in his first preseason game with the Boston Celtics. They were able to beat the Memphis Grizzlies by 18, and Jaylen Brown had 21 points in 20 minutes with 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, got to the free throw line, which was encouraging as well, and looked comfortable out there. Now, there were still some turnovers that he's going to have to cut down now that he's going to be guarded by other teams' best perimeter player. I do wonder if we're going to see Jason Tatum back this year. He has flirted with a bunch of workout videos. I still have to say I can't believe it until I see it, just because of how serious that injury was in last year's playoffs. But if Jaylen Brown could just be what we saw from him in 2024, 2023, he could definitely be a top 15 player unanimously this year, end up on All-NBA second team or third team for the first time since 2023. AP Hoops mentions here for the LA Clippers that John Collins is going to have a Derek White-esque impact for the LA Clippers, a true power forward that can rebound offensively and defensively, dunk and shoot, and defend is going to play a huge part in why they finish in the top 4. Now, the Clippers have played one preseason game so far, and it was against a CBA team, the Loong Lions. So this is the team with Frank Kaminsky, Tim Frazier, Victor Oladipo that we saw play the San Antonio Spurs a little bit ago, and the LA Clippers ended up winning by 47 points. John Collins in that game had 15 points, was a plus 26, and this is the definition of an overreaction because of what he did against a CBA team. Now, I love the pickup for the Clippers. I think they're going to really appreciate having a big man that could, one, space the floor, set a good screen, and just be an athletic rim runner around the rim. I don't know if he's going to have a Derek White-esque impact, because Derek White obviously makes a lot of his money on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe he's saying that John Collins can just replicate that. But for that on the offensive side, and we know that the Clippers could definitely use some offense. They were elite defensively last year. They definitely had some room to grow offensively in the offseason. I think Ty Lue could deploy Collins out at the 4 or at the small ball 5 at times. I think playing with Chris Paul in that second unit, if he does come off the bench, can also be great for John Collins this year, because it's been 3 years since John Collins made the playoffs in 2023 for the Atlanta Hawks, and this team in 2026 in Los Angeles, a lot better than what Atlanta was in 2023. For the Memphis Grizzlies, M-Town mentions that Ty Jerome or Jalen Wells will be the third star on the Grizzlies this season. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be Ty Jerome. I just don't think he has star upside, or at least to be a good number 3 option. And the Grizzlies haven't looked great as a collective unit in preseason so far, but they're also playing just so many guys out there. I'm really high on Jalen Wells this season. I thought he looked the part against the Boston Celtics in their second preseason game, where he had 21 points, he had 3 assists, he knocked down 3 threes. We know that Jalen Wells exceeded every single expectation in his rookie year, being that he was a second-round pick against the Detroit Pistons in his first game. He did struggle, but I like the confidence, and I think if there is somebody to step up to fill the Desmond Bane void now that he's in Orlando, that is going to be Jalen Wells. I think that could be Jalen Wells more than KCP, GG Jackson, or Cedric Howard this season. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on the former 39th overall pick to have an even better year number 2 with a higher workload. Jackson mentions here for the Atlanta Hawks that Trae Young will be top 10 in MVP voting this year. With the great offseason, he will have his highest assist numbers ever. Now, it is really cool when you look at Trae Young's career stats. He has gone up in assists per game every single season, which is really impressive because he started off his career 8.1 assists, then it goes to 9.3 in 2020, 9.4 in 2021, 9.7 in 2022, 10.2 in 2023, 10.8 in 2024, and then 11.6 in 2025, leading the NBA. And you can make a very good argument the Atlanta Hawks got better around Trae Young this offseason. Jalen Johnson is coming back. We're getting year 4 Dyson Daniels, year 2 Zachary Sachet. They bring in Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kennard, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They did lose to the Rockets in their first preseason game, and I think there is a scenario where Trae Young does finish top 10 in MVP voting, but I also find it interesting he has never done that in his career. Now, if he leads the NBA in assists again, which is definitely possible, if he scores over 24 points per game and the Hawks are a top 4 seed, he will definitely finish top 10 in MVP voting this season. No one mentions here that Kel'el Ware is going to be a top 15 center this season. I don't think there's any player, or at least young player in the NBA, having a better preseason than Kel'el Ware. And I found this hilarious as well, just because Spo kind of came out throughout Summer League saying that Kel'el Ware needs to improve his professionalism off the floor. And then it also started off this year with the preseason starting lineup having Nikola Jovic in it and not Kel'el Ware. And Kel'el Ware is playing so well that Spo may have no choice but to have Ware in the lineup. He was unreal against the San Antonio Spurs, where he finished with 29 points in 26 minutes. He knocks down 3 threes. He has 12 rebounds. He makes it look so easy on the offensive end of the floor. Now, I do think the defense is still a work in progress, and maybe that's what Spo wants to see, but he also had 18 points and 13 rebounds against the Milwaukee Bucks. He finished with 10 points in 17 minutes and 9 rebounds against the Orlando Magic in their first preseason game. I think that Kel'el Ware could be primed for a big year number 2. I thought he exceeded expectations in his rookie year, and I'm really excited to see kind of this wrinkle play out this year. Will Spo ever start Kel'el Ware? Is he still going to play 25 plus minutes but come off the bench? I'm fascinated to see how that plays out in Miami. It's Krusty mentions here for the Charlotte Hornets that they're going to make the 6th seed this season, and Con Knipple turns into Klay Thompson. So it would definitely be very tough for any player to turn into Klay Thompson, who is a future Hall of Famer, who has 4 rings and is one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. But I do think that Con Knipple could be an all-star one day. That's definitely a possibility in his career. As good as Klay Thompson, I would be shocked. And Con Knipple's first preseason game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, in their 21-point loss, he finished with 18 points, knocked down 4 threes, but I really liked his consistency, confidence, and ability to play off of 2 feet in that game. I thought it was a really good preseason debut. He wasn't as good in their second preseason game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He goes 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3, but 3 assists, 5 rebounds in that game. And I think Con is going to have a good year. I think he can make all-rookie first team, but I don't think that's going to help the Charlotte Hornets too much in the standings. I do not think the Charlotte Hornets are going to make the play-in tournament this year, unfortunately. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't have the confidence in the center rotation of Moussa Diabate, Mason Plumlee, and Ryan Kalkbrenner as a second-round rookie at all whatsoever right away. I need to trust Brandon Miller's health, who also hasn't looked great in preseason. LaMelo Ball's health this year. I'm glad that Trey Mann is back. I'm glad they picked up Colin Sexton in the offseason. I think this team is going to score a lot of points this year, but they're probably going to give up a lot more. Tenson mentions here that Ace Bailey is your rookie of the year. Now, I was waiting for one of these hot takes when I wanted to make this video, just because Ace Bailey in his first preseason game against the Rockets looked the part, man. So they ended up losing 140-127, but I thought Ace Bailey's individual performance was maybe my favorite of preseason play so far, up there with Kel'el Ware against San Antonio. Ace Bailey took 16 shots, knocked down 11 of them. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 25 points, and even 3 stocks in that game, 2 steals, and 1 block. I thought that the NBA floor spacing was great for Ace Bailey to open up the floor. His teammates weren't the best at Rutgers last year, which really limited the spacing around Ace Bailey, and he would get double teamed a lot. That's not going to happen when you're playing with better NBA talent at the next level. And Ace Bailey had some great dribble moves. He was able to attack closeouts, gather inside, finish at the rim, absorb contact, and also not be afraid of contact as well. He also had 3 assists, which I find it interesting because in college, in 30 games at Rutgers last year, there was only 6 times where he had 3 or more assists, and he already did that on opening night of preseason play. And I think Ace Bailey's going to average well above the 1.3 assists he averaged last year with the Scarlet Knights. The Zaxby's hate account mentions that the Sacramento bench will be top 5 in the NBA. The Kings' first preseason game was definitely up and down for a lot of players involved. Sabonis looked fine, but DeMar DeRozan wasn't great. Dennis Schroeder was definitely not great in this game, and Keegan Murray struggled as well, which bummed me out a little bit because I'm really high on Keegan Murray this year, but the bench did look the part as well. Devin Carter was flying all over the place, and Devin, it might be time to just get a haircut, change it up for you. Keon Ellis looked great out there. Nick Clifford, though, impressed me the most. He had 10 points in this game, but 9 assists. There's a chance Nick Clifford could be running the second unit as an initiator at times. I liked Isaac Jones' minutes. I really liked Maxime right now and Dylan Cardwell's minutes. I really like Cardwell as a sleeper in the NBA draft, and I thought he was a good fit in Sacramento, a team that lacked the physicality and just big man depth in general. Top 5, we will see how that looks throughout the year because you still have Malik Monk on that bench as well. I really like the youngish but still old role players they have on their team. Like, they're on the older side, but I think they're going to be big contributors for the Kings in 2025, in 2026, and that's why I think the Kings are going to go over in their win total projection. Pacome.a Truther mentions that Jalen Brunson will take some time to adjust to a non-heliocentric offense in the Mike Brown system, but after he buys into the new scheme, he may average 8 assists per game for the rest of the season, considering now that the Knicks have real shooters coming off the bench. When you look at the box score, it wasn't pretty in their third preseason game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Knicks only had 38 points at halftime. They ended up beating the Timberwolves 195 in overtime. So yeah, this was definitely a low scoring game, but I am very excited about the ball movement, the switchability, the high screening, and the different type of actions Mike Brown has been running throughout preseason. And I agree here. I think Jalen Brunson can average a career high in assists per game. It's been going up every single year of his career, actually. Every single year from 2019 to 2025. His first year with the Knicks in 2023, 6.2, then it goes to 6.7. Last year, he averaged 7.3 assists. And I don't think people gave him as much credit for averaging over 7 assists per game in 2025. And I think Jalen Brunson could also finish top 5 in MVP voting in 2026 because Mike Brown should make this offense even better. Fritz Dwayne here mentions that the Lakers are going to miss the playoffs completely, don't make the play-in, their depth is questionable, and Aiden doesn't work out at center, LeBron will get traded to the Cavs mid-season. Okay, that line definitely felt like an overreaction, and maybe if LeBron could convince the Lakers that he was never going to re-sign with them in the offseason, maybe there's a scenario where if the Lakers were completely out of it, they could actually buy him out later in the year. But let's not even talk about that right now. Like, that would be so far in the future and would be crazy. What we do need to talk about right now, LeBron James is going to miss the first opening night game of his career in year 23, which is wild. LeBron James is going to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a hip injury on his right side, and that's going to be a big blow for the Lakers. You never really see this, but LeBron James is the second best player on the Lakers at 40 years old. He's going to be 41 in December, and you have to worry about a 40-year-old's health this year when he's your second best guy making $50 million. I do think there is a scenario where the start of the season does not go well for the Lakers, and you know the media and the national scale for the Lakers, everybody's going to be looking at them in a magnifying glass. So we'll see how this works out. Will Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton be good enough depth pieces for this team? Or are the Lakers really going to have to shake up their roster at one point this year? Either way, I'm really excited about Skinny Luka going into the 2026 season. No mentions here for the Orlando Magic that Jace Richardson would be top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting if he gets minutes. Now, unfortunately, I think because of the last part of his statement here, that's why he's not going to get into that Rookie of the Year conversation, just because the Magic have a ton of guys. They're going to be built for the regular season, and I'm not sure how much playing time Jace Richardson will get. He looked the part in Summer League. In his first preseason game against the Heat, he played 24 minutes. He may not even crack over 20 minutes throughout the regular season, but he did have 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He knocked down all 3 of his 3-point attempts, and I just think the ball handling, the creativity, and the downhill attacking can really make Jace Richardson a viable bench piece for even a team trying to compete this year like the Orlando Magic. But they got Anthony Black, who they still want to see. They have Tyus Jones, who they brought in. Obviously, Jalen Suggs and Desmond Bane are going to start. So it is going to be tough for Jace Richardson to crack the rotation. But if somebody does get injured, I think he's going to be a great third-string guard to put in the rotation. This person mentions here for the Dallas Mavericks that Cooper Flagg will be in the all-defensive first team with getting top 3 in all defense, but not just Coop. This whole rookie class will show that is arguably one of the best in NBA history. As mentions here, I said this to you before, the Nets are not going to be as bad as people think in a weak East. They will F the tank once again. I disagree with this one. I just don't think the Nets are going to be that competitive this year. And maybe they will be a little bit more in games than I think, just because they still have Cam Thomas. They still have Michael Porter Jr., Nick Claxton, Terrence Mann. Like, these are some solid veterans on the team. I just think the trial and error of all the rookies is really just going to make the Nets non-competitive in some of those minutes this year. Like, I'm excited for Jaeger Dorman. I'm excited for Nolan Traore and Ben Surratt and Danny Wolf and Drake Powell and these guys this season. But maybe he's onto something. Maybe he just knows that Jordy Fernandez is going to get the most out of this core, and the Nets are going to win maybe 2 or 3 games too much. they're going to end up finishing with like the 5th worst record and then fall to 8 again in the lottery. They've all mentions here for the Denver Nuggets that Christian Brown will end up being the 2nd scoring option for the Denver Nuggets. I also like the optimism with this one as well. I think there's a solid chance that Brown could finish number 3. Number 2, though, is really tough. With Michael Porter Jr. in Brooklyn now, I think there's a clear path for either Brown, Gordon, or Cam Johnson to be the number 3 scorer on this team, because you got to lock in Jokic 1 and Jamal Murray 2. I think Murray's going to be way more of an on-ball guy yet again. It makes sense for this team and what's worked over the last few years. So I think Brown, though, can take a leap this year to be the number 3 scoring option. I think he can get more shots per game than a Cam Johnson, than an Aaron Gordon, and maybe take another leap this year, because Christian Brown, I think, should have been more in the most improved conversation last year, given what he did in year number 2 for a Denver Nuggets team, where he averaged 7.3 points. Last year, he averaged 15.5 points. I think he can go up to like 17 or so this year, and that could be good enough for number 3 in Denver. Young Simba mentions that Johnny Furphy will be a starter before the All-Star break. Also an interesting one here for the Indiana Pacers, because they're already starting off the season with a notable injury. TJ McConnell is going to miss a decent amount of time. So it's Andrew Nembhard as the starting 1. Will we see maybe Cam Jones or Talion Peter in this rotation? They just picked up Campaign as well. So I think if Johnny Furphy was a starter before the All-Star break, this season would have gone maybe the worst case scenario, but maybe Pacers fans want that. Maybe they want this team to just see the younger guys play, get a good draft pick, and then go all in again in 2027 when Tyrese Halliburton returns. I think that's more likely if Furphy was in the starting lineup than if so he's just outplaying Benedict Mathurin or Aaron Nesmith completely. But Johnny Furphy, I said in my prediction video, I think he's going to be in the slam dunk contest this year. He was great in his preseason game against the Timberwolves, and I loved how confident he looked in that game as well. Got to the free throw line a ton, which is encouraging. Jackson mentions here about the New Orleans Pelicans that they're going to obliterate their season win total, and Zion will make All-NBA first team if he stays healthy. So they're projected to win around 30 games this year, and I agree here with Jackson. I do think they're going to go over this year if you think that they're going to be healthy. And who knows if they're going to be healthy, right? Recent trends in history show that this team does have injury issues, but if you think that they could put it all together this year, they have better depth, specifically in that front court, they can easily get to 32 or 33 wins this year. And if Zion Williamson makes All-NBA first team, that means he played 65 games this year, then you could think that the Celtics, the Pelicans' bottom line is so much higher, and they're going to be a team that can actually be a fringe play-in team. So I do think they're going to go over in their win total. I love Zion, and I think he could be an all-star, all-NBA second or third team guy if he stays healthy. First team would be a major leap for him. Cameron mentions here for the Detroit Pistons that they are going to be the 2 seed in the East and make it to the conference finals. So if you told me a team not named the Knicks, Cavs, or Magic were the 2 seed this year, I kind of like Detroit over the Atlanta Hawks, to be honest with you. Now, I do think Atlanta is a better team, and I would take them in a playoff series 100%, but I think we need to talk about Detroit more, just because there could be even another leap for Cade Cunningham in year number 5. Last year, he was a top 15 player in the NBA throughout the regular season. He has looked unreal so far in their first 2 preseason games. He looked amazing against Milwaukee, 26 points in 19 minutes, and was a plus 13 in those 19 minutes as well. He can get to the rim with ease. He can get to the free throw line. He's starting to get that star whistle. And if Cade Cunningham and the Pistons are the 2 seed, Cade may actually make All-NBA first team and get some MVP votes this year. A dog on the court says that Colin Murray-Boyles is the best defender in the class, and it isn't close. Now, I don't think that's true, just because Cooper Flagg is also in this class, who you could definitely make an argument is a better defender than Colin Murray-Boyles. But man, Murray-Boyles' on-ball defense so far to start off the preseason has been amazing to watch. In their game against the Denver Nuggets, in their game against the Sacramento Kings, he is flying over the floor. He is so strong for a rookie as well, and he can use that to his benefit as a post defender, as a help defender, or just trying to cut off a guy that maybe has a lane in transition. And that also makes him a force offensively and as a rebounder as well. He's really physical inside. He could box out guys really well for somebody at his height, because Colin Murray-Boyles is only 6 foot, whatever comes after 6. I'm not going to say it. So I've been impressed with CMB so far in preseason. This person mentions for Alperen Sengun that he's going to be a dark horse MVP candidate if the jump shot is real. I've talked about this a ton all offseason. He balled out in Eurobasket, and so far throughout the preseason, Alperen Sengun has made it look so easy in his limited playing time. And I've just loved his passing ability as well throughout his first 2 preseason games. In the first one against the Atlanta Hawks, Sengun had 19 points, 6 assists, and was 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, and was a plus 18 in 17 minutes. And against the Utah Jazz, in the game which Ace Bailey was really good in, Sengun in 28 minutes, 5 of 8, 13 assists, and 13 points. There is a chance this year that Alperen Sengun can average 6, 7 assists playing alongside Kevin Durant and Amen Thompson in Houston. Somebody's going to have to average more assists now with Fred VanVleet out for the season. And there is a high chance that Alperen Şengün is actually the leading assist getter here in Houston. Day mentions here for the San Antonio Spurs, when Wemby and Luke Kornet are playing together, they are the best front court in the NBA. Now, that is definitely a crazy preseason overreaction as well, because there are plenty of good front courts in the NBA. The New York Knicks with OG Anunoby and Karl-Anthony Towns, the Milwaukee Bucks with Miles Turner and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Brooklyn Nets with Danny Wolf and Nick Claxton. But I see where this guy is coming from, because defensively, they have looked unreal so far in their first 2 preseason games. Now, the first one was against the CBA team and Frank Kaminsky. I'm not going to put too much stock into that game, although Luke Kornet looked the part. In their second preseason game, you could make an argument Kel'el Ware outperformed Victor Wembanyama. It doesn't matter, though. These two defensively are going to be amazing to watch this year, and it's really going to show up, I think, in the non-box score numbers, where teams are going to be way too scared and hesitant to try to get any inside shot around Kornet and Wemby. They definitely need a cool nickname. For the Phoenix Suns, Nick Shy Guy says that the Suns will finish with a higher seed this year than the Golden State Warriors. This is a crazy preseason overreaction as well. The Suns are 2-0 in preseason, beating the Nets and the Lakers. The Suns, I don't think, are still going to be great this year when you look at their record by the end of the year. I think there's a chance they could trade away a Dylan Brooks, trade away a Grayson Allen this year, although they could be very competitive in games. Higher seed than the Warriors, I'm definitely going to have to disagree with that one. I'm actually kind of out on the Suns becoming a playing tournament team this year, but hey, I could definitely be wrong in a few weeks, and maybe this team just has so much more depth than it had last year, and Devin Booker can just kind of go back into All-NBA first team talk. Slam Topic says here that SGA follows the Steph path and leads the Thunder to 70 wins and wins MVP unanimously. Now, I've talked about the Thunder a lot this offseason, and I'm usually looking at them at the lens. They have to regress a little bit just because the Western Conference should be a little bit more competitive. But then you can also look at the flip side of that and say, you know what? They won 68 games last year with Chet Holmgren only playing 32 games in the regular season. Isaiah Hartenstein missed 25 games. J-Dub missed 13. Alex Caruso missed 28 games. And all these young guys as well that were on the roster last year that won 68 games are all back this year. There is a chance, yeah, the Thunder take another leap this year. They had an all-time net rating last year. What if they win 70 games? What if Shea gets another MVP and they can actually be starting a dynasty, which some people are predicting right now? Warriors says here for the Warriors that if the Warriors core can stay healthy, 68 plus games for Steph, Dre, Jimmy, and Allen Pods, and the rest as well, they're winning 55 games, which is about 10 over their preseason projection. They won 48 games last year. They bring in Al Horford. They bring back DeAnthony Melton, Gary Payton this offseason. They bring in Seth Curry, and we're now getting a full offseason of Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph all playing together. They still have Moses Moody and Buddy Hield on the perimeter. And maybe this team does exceed expectations this year. I'm a little skeptical of it just because of the age of this roster and the depth of it right now. But what if they could just put together one more miraculous season? Jonathan Kuminga is here. They could trade him as well. And yeah, what if the Warriors are a top 3 seed in the West? I'm kind of bummed down here for the Washington Wizards. Jack is as well. I wish I could, but the Wizards have 0 preseason games for some reason. Can somebody tell me why this is a thing? Like, the Washington Wizards do not play their first preseason game till Sunday, October 12th. When the Knicks debuted their first preseason game in Abu Dhabi with the Sixers on October 2nd, every team has played a preseason game so far, but the Washington Wizards. I'm going to be locked in for this one on Sunday. They're going up against the Toronto Raptors. We're getting to watch Trey Johnson in the mix, Sarr, Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly, and so many others. We get to see Cam Whitmore make his Washington Wizards debut, and it'll be a tough test for them against the Toronto Raptors team that's also fairly deep. And lastly here, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Zachary Brenner mentions that Mike Conley will be out of the playoff rotation. I think the preseason so far has been very interesting for the Minnesota Timberwolves just because Rob Dillingham has not been playing great, and he doesn't really look like a traditional point guard out there as well. He wants to be like a score first, mid-range shooter point guard, and I'm not sure if that's what Minnesota needs right now. They need passers. They need guys that won't turn the ball over and are just going to make smart decisions. They ended up beating the Nuggets, losing to the Pacers, and then losing to the Knicks in the preseason. I've liked what I've seen out of Bones Hyland. He honestly looks better out there at times than a Rob Dillingham. I think Terrence Shannon Jr. has looked the part. I think Johan Berenger has looked the part as well. I think we got to keep an eye on what Chris Finch is going to do this year with Terrence Shannon Jr., Mike Conley, Rob Dillingham, and some of those guys that are expected to step up this year in Minnesota. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you guys thought about anything I said throughout this video. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.